All right, we're going to take one more run at the rectangle and rectangle runner. At least this time I have put in the author and since for today's date. And the reason we're doing this is to discuss the parts of a program, and especially the constructor and the use of multiple constructors. So with the rectangle program, we're going to start out with our class declaration, public class rectangle, and we're going to have our instance variables. We're going to declare them private. In this class, all instance variables will be declared private. There may be more to it than that, but at least private. They'll both be doubles, which is a data type. It's floating point numbers. And so we've got two of them, length and width, since our rectangle is defined by a length and a width. And our first constructor is going to be public rectangle, and it's going to have two parameters, a double length and a double width. And notice that we have in my comments here a @param, and this is for the Java doc comments that will say, let people know that length and width are the parameters, and then that they're both doubles. And then we say this dot length equals length. So the length on the right hand side is the parameter name that's coming in, and the length on the left hand side is the instance variable. And we say this dot length to emphasize and to be sure that we're setting the length for the object that we are creating. Remember that this is an assignment statement. It is not saying anything about equality, but what it is saying is take this value and assign it to this dot length. And then we do the same thing with the width. So this constructor with two parameters sends in values for both the length and the width, and then they are assigned to the instance variables. All right, I now have a one parameter constructor, and it is just sending inside, and this is going to be for making a square. Remembering that a square, all four sides are the same length, so length and width have the same value. Now, some people were under the impression, obviously I messed up, that you would have two constructors, one for the length and one for the width, and that's not correct. If I try and have two constructors, each with one double, it's not going to let me do that. You can only have, in this case, I can have one constructor that has two doubles. I can have a constructor that has one double. I could not have a second one of either kind. The last constructor is a default or no arguments or no parameters, where I send nothing in and then I choose what I'm going to set the length and the width to. And so these are the three general kinds. In class when we worked with BlueJ, you noticed that when they constructed a rectangle, it was a no arguments constructor. And then all the instance variables were given values. Okay, so way up here, hopefully I won't do that too often, we declare that length will be of type double and it will be private, and width will be of type double and it will be private. And then down here we assign a value to it, and so this is the stage where everybody gets values. So there are two parts here. If you look at the third page of the handout I gave you, he said, reaching across, on the third page the one that's purple and blue, it says variable declare and initialize. And at the top of the program, one more time, we'll scroll up. This declares the variables. This is the declaration part. Down here, this is the assignment part. We are assigning values. So on that third page, it says with each variable, you have to declare it and initialize it. You can do it all in one step, or as we've done here, you can do it in 2 steps. Once you've gotten your rectangle constructed, we then have a method, and in this case, public double get area. This is the return type. This is what will be sent back to the user, and what will be sent back is the product of length times width. So you get, scrolling way back up, we have a class declaration, we have the instance variables declared, we have our constructor or constructors, and then we have a method. The main difference between this program and many of the programs we will write is that this has only one method, and the rest of the programs will probably have more methods and more complex methods. And when I have my runner, I say name of class. This is then the name of the object. This says I'm making a new instance of the rectangle class, and it is going to send in 2 variables or 2 values to the variables, 3 and 4. So 3 becomes the length, 4 becomes the width. I then declare and initialize a variable. My variable is going to be area R1. It is of type double, and we initialize it to have a value r1.getArea. So this says take the rectangle R1, call the getArea method. When it returns length times width, store that value in a variable of the type double, which is area R1. And then we're going to print this out. And then just for fun, we said let's make a rectangle that is a square. So we say rectangle name square equals new rectangle, and because a square only has one length to its sides, we send in one variable. And then we have a variable area of square, area square, is equal to square.getArea, and then I print it out. And if I compile and run, it says the area of R1 is 12 and the area of the square is 25. All right, I hope that that is somewhat helpful. If not, you're going to have to let me know so that I can do something else. But please let me know if you need some other help.